This is the story of two sisters, Lena and Birdie. One was born in a cozy cabin overlooking the river. The other came from a sparrow's nest in the tallest cactus for miles. She was a foundling bird, so her father named her Birdie. Lena and Birdie grew up in the cabin with their father. They learned new things and went on adventures, and they were always together. Their cabin was nestled high in the mountains where they had a few neighbors. There were other foresters who worked in the woods, like their father. Their closest neighbors were Cookie and her 3 sons. Cookie was famous for being the best cook north of the river, but Lena thought Birdie was soon to be even better. Early one morning, Lena was fetching water for Birdie to make a stew when she noticed that Cookie was filling a much larger pot of water. "What are you going to make with all that water?" she asked. "I'll tell you if you promise to keep it a secret," Cookie told her. Lena would only tell Birdie, she thought, and Birdie was good at keeping secrets. So she agreed. Cookie leaned in and whispered into Lena's ear, "I'm going to boil all this water, and once it's piping hot, I'm going to throw that little foundling bird in and cook her into a stew." Lena looked at Cookie in horror. "You can't," she said. "Birdie is my sister." "She's not your sister," Cookie spat. "Your father plucked her from a cactus. I bet she wasn't even born on this side of the river." With that, Lena turned and ran from Cookie. "Remember," Cookie called after her, "it's a secret." Lena raced back to Birdie and told her all about Cookie's terrible plan. The 2 sisters held hands and ran into the mountains to find their father, but Cookie saw them from the river and called to her sons. "Go after those girls and bring them back to me," Cookie yelled at her sons, who scrambled after the 2 sisters. The sisters were scared but quick thinking. Before Cookie's sons could reach them, they joined hands and turned into a saguaro cactus, just like the one Birdie was found in all those years ago. Lena was the tall, spiky plant, and Birdie was the pink fruit perched safely on top. Cookie's sons searched all around the cactus, but couldn't find Birdie and Lena. They returned to their mother's cabin empty-handed. They told her the girls had disappeared, and all they saw was a tall saguaro with a single fruit on top. When she heard that, Cookie was so angry she almost threw her youngest son into the boiling pot. "You should have pulled that cactus up at the root," she screamed, and sent them back out after Birdie and Lena. Before long, Cookie's sons were on Birdie and Lena's trail that led high into the mountains. The sisters heard them coming and held hands again. This time, they turned into a wide, flat mesa and a tall spire made of sandstone. The sons arrived just after the dust settled. They looked all around the rock formations and even walked between them, but the sisters stayed still and held hands. When her sons returned without Birdie and Lena for a second time, Cookie was even more angry and decided to go after the girls herself. By now, Birdie and Lena were high in the mountains where the snow hadn't yet melted. They thought they might be safe when Cookie appeared. Without thinking, the girls joined hands and turned into an alpine lake and a crane. Birdie became the lake, which melted the snow and fed the river far below, and Lena turned into the crane that stood guard over the little lake. But it was too late. Cookie had seen them. Cookie ran to the edge and plunged her head into the icy lake. She drank the water in huge gulps, but Lena was determined to defend her sister. Soon, Cookie found herself in over her head. She clung to a floating ice chunk, but all water is connected. Melting ice from the lake flowed over a waterfall and far below to the river. The ice that Cookie held onto was no different. At the bottom of the waterfall, it broke into 1,000 pieces and turned into part of the river. Birdie and Lena never had to transform again. They returned home to their cabin where they boiled water from the river to make a delicious stew. No one ever heard from Cookie again, but the girl's father and Cookie's 3 sons all agreed that Birdie's stew was the best that they had ever tasted.